Welcome to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. Grab yourself a slice, strap into the party wagon, and hang on tight. Give it up for your hosts, the Cowabunga Combo, Justin and Eric.
Like Donatello with all these fancy innovations. I don't know. So, well, welcome everybody back to a special episode of Epic Tales from the Sewers. I am your epic host, Mr. Justin Cooper, with my co-host, who was with me at Granite, Mr. Eric
What?
Will.
Who? Oh, no, it's me. Sorry. Hi, Justin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we've got our special guest, so we could tell everybody how Granite State went.
Yes, sir.
Introducing first-time person on the show who I met him locally at a local Comic-Con where he was actually tabling, but he was tabling at the same show with Frank Fosco. So that's pretty exciting, and a numerous number of Power Rangers. So and then
right.
And then we met again at C2E2, and you got some cool stories from that one, Mr. Reese Porter.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
And just to let everybody know, Reese is an artist as well. So when I met him, I did actually buy his book. So I have it somewhere in my my madness behind me. So
Yeah.
it's
Thanks
pretty
for
cool.
that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool because we're from the same area, it's Chicagoland area and all that. We both independently flew out to Granite State, which is the con that the three of us went to, Turtle Con of the year. Pretty exciting stuff. And we met up out there and hung out. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. I was like, I was half a second away from texting you and asking if you were going to be out there, but I just didn't do it, and I didn't expect to see you there. I was walking the floor, and suddenly I hear Reese.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And I see Justin over there at his own table, no less. And
it's so funny because it's such a small world, and for like the Turtles fans and all that, it's like when you get out there, if you're a Turtles fan, I feel like people know you. You know, especially if you're coming from like, oh, I came from Texas, I came from South Dakota. It's like I know somebody now in every state because I went to Granite and they were all there. They're like, oh yeah, that's that's Ryan. Ryan came in from Indiana, and that's Bubba. I don't know. Bubba comes in from New Orleans. You know, it's like
right.
the stuff like that. It's just crazy. And then it's like everybody. Like I mean, we were at the table. And I mean, we had like just all these people just converging on us, and it's like, oh, who's this person? Oh, that's a new person we just met, and all that. And it's like, oh, cool. You know, now like I'm friends with them because of that event. It's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I met a ton of people that that I had maybe interacted with once or twice, like
exactly
in the Facebook groups or something like that. But yeah, now it's we're all buds, and we have this turtle connection that we share.
We had the lovely Casey Wilson next to us. Wonderful artist. Couldn't say enough nice things about her. Just absolutely great. And then in the middle of those tables, we actually had Aaron Hozari show up, and he sat at the table, kind of half between ours and her table there. On the other side, Jamie Johnson. Johnson. I mean, this was like, and I cannot understate how successful this seemed a con for Jamie. Like it looked like he was killing it.
Yeah, late even. Like he was there. Yeah. He was there well after they were closing. Like they were waiting for him to like shut things down because he was slinging prints and signing stuff. And yeah, he had a good show for sure.
Yeah, and I mean the majority of his stuff was turtle themed and all that. So I feel like that was the right move for him to come.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting, Eric. You had brought this time some works from your wife.
Yes.
And we had those set up behind us, and we're just kind of showing those off. Why don't you tell the listeners about what you brought?
Well, my wife, she calls them weeble heads. So they have like really big heads, like they're like little stuffed figures. And of course they had Ninja Turtles. But the best part about them is they had interchangeable bandanas.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you wanted Donatello, you could have Donatello. If you wanted Raph, you could have Raph.
You could switch it up.
How did
And
I miss
then
those? I missed those. I
They
didn't
probably
see those.
sold.
they
Oh, really?
sold quick. They sold quick.
That'd be why.
But I mean, we can always make something happen. I mean, but also my wife, she does napkins too as well. She does she's done like the turtle heads and all this other stuff. She just did a Jack Skeleton actually not too long ago
Oh, neat.
for somebody. But she does the turtle heads, and of course she did the iconic first turtles of each of Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman too as well.
Yeah, that was
That's awesome.
pretty exciting.
Yes.
And I mean that I probably should have explained this from the beginning, but what we're going to do on this episode is just kind of walk you through the experiences that we had at the Granite State Con, just some of the more wonderful highlights. And
Hmm.
I mean, with this one, we had met up with our fellow podcaster Brian Van Hooker, who was moderating the IDW Ninja Turtles panel. And with that, you've got Kevin Eastman, Mateus Santaluca, Eric Burnham, Tom Waltz, Gavin Smith, like literally everybody.
That
Sarah
panel was
Meyer.
stacked.
Everyone. It's so
like a
stacked.
Hall of
They had
Fame of
3 people that couldn't be on the stage with everybody else. So
Yeah.
this was huge. This was like a huge moment and all that. And Eric had an idea that's something that he wanted to do, and we picked out this moment. So, and this had nothing to do with me. This was all you guys. So I was just the jerk that was sitting in the front, so
Yeah.
taking pictures of Brian and all that. And we get to the end. We get to the end of the presentation and all that, and they're asking questions, and Eric raises his hand. So it is like, oh, I don't have a question, but
I
I've
have
got
two
this.
questions. I
Yeah,
don't have
go
a
ahead. You
question,
tell
but
it.
I have a two thing. But I do have a question after this. So there's two things, and I was like, right now I don't have a question, but I do have a question after this. But I was like, there's something that I want to give to you, and so I ended up, taking it up there, unfolded it, and he was just like, absolutely, just like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Like I love it. And he was like, let's take a picture. We're going back and forth and asking about taking a picture. And I was like, we'll just do it afterwards. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. So, I had that moment with Kevin, like we were sitting there, afterwards we were talking. And I told him, I was like, look, I was like, I have one for Pete for his first turtle too. And I was like, if he doesn't show up, I was like, would you be okay with giving it to me? He was like, absolutely. He was like, I'm gonna go see him Monday anyways after the con. I'm gonna go visit him. You know, he says he does that every time he comes up here, and he's always visiting Pete as much as he can. Um, so I was like, all right, of course through the con, the whole time through the con went and all this other stuff, and I went ahead and gave it to him. Why he of course he had a long line, and and I told him, I was like, hey, I was like, if Pete does, I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and give this to you. I don't think Pete's gonna come, and that's fine if he can. He was like, look, I will take a picture of Pete with it for you, and I'll make sure it gets sent to you. Um, I forget her name.
Fiona.
His Fiona, yeah, Fiona.
Yep.
I knew it started with an F, but I did talk to Fiona about it, and she was like, all right, I was like, look, a lot of people go there to get autographs signed by Kevin Eastman and all this other stuff. I didn't even get an autograph. I didn't get a single autograph from the guy, but I had those moments. Got to spend that one-on-one time
Oh,
with him.
there'll be some more moments we can talk about in a bit, but
Oh yeah,
that was a moment of like a lot of people in that whole room were really surprised by what
yeah.
happened. It was really something special.
Yeah, it was like there were some people that knew about it, and some they were like just kind of in awe, like, oh my gosh. But it was a surreal moment that happened, and for him to have that, a piece of my wife's work, of his artwork to say the least, it was something special, and Pete too. So
Yeah, and true enough, I think the Monday, you got a picture. They texted you a picture.
yeah, the crazy part is that, okay, I'm not even friends with Fiona, but like literally about 20 minutes after I landed in Columbus and my wife was on the way to pick me up, I got a picture of Kevin and Pete together.
It's so crazy.
And I
That's
remember,
wild.
I remember sharing that picture in the group chat for the CKC because that's where I shared it at first. And I was just like, because a lot of us were there for that moment and got
Yeah.
to see that, and I was like, I had to share it to you all first, everybody first, because it was just like, because nobody got to see Pete, you know what I'm saying? And Pete comes out whenever he wants to, and to have them both have their blankets up and holding it and taking a picture, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, that's
epic moment.
absolutely. I mean, it was a moment for sure, and I mean that's like the vibe of Granite Con for everyone who doesn't get a chance to go is when you get there on Friday or Thursday or whatever. There's these rumblings of, oh, you think Pete's gonna come this year? You think Pete's? Oh, we'll see, and everybody's asking, and it
Hmm.
literally is like this hushed undertone thing that's just like everybody. Oh, you think Pete's coming? You think Pete's? And everybody who's there is talking about it. Every single person.
Hmm.
It's inescapable. It's just crazy. And he did come last year,
Yep.
but we missed him. It was on the Sunday, and we had to leave. And then this year he wasn't able to come, but he did do Portsmouth Minicon,
Yeah.
so he did at least get out there.
He did like two days of Portsmouth or two. I think he did all the
I
days
think
or something like.
Portsmouth one. I don't know. I didn't get a
No,
chance
no.
to.
I think it was multiple days. I think it was 2 days maybe. But
Okay,
I think he was there for both of them.
I will take your word on that because I didn't get to go, and I'm
I think it's
assuming Reese,
really.
you didn't get to go either.
I didn't actually. That was the same weekend as C2E2 this year. Or
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
yeah, that was C2E2 this year. So I was there. I didn't even know Portsmouth was happening until it would have been too late, anyways. So
Yeah.
Yeah, C2E2 was a bit of a letdown anyway. I mean, just like after going to Granite and all that, and like the concentration of like turtle artists that they have, it's like you go to C2E2 and you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't really care about like a Walking Dead artist or something. It's
yeah,
like no offense, but it's like I guess I've been spoiled. So
yeah, it's tough coming from. I mean, that was my first time at Granite Con, but I had been to several C2E2s before. But I mean, I did meet like the original voice actors were at C2E2.
yeah, and
What was that?
or that
2 years
Wizard World
ago,
or something.
3 years ago, and then Eastman was at C2E2 2022,
Yep,
a couple
yep.
years now. So like they've had some turtle showings, but yeah, I mean, Granite Con was unlike anything I've experienced. I mean, it was a small con, relatively,
Yeah.
but if you're a turtle fan, like that was where to be for sure. And I'm sure Portsmouth was very much that same kind of vibe. But yeah, that was the best convention I've experienced as far as a Turtles fan goes.
Same.
It was
Same.
interesting for me because as soon as I got off the plane, right, I go and I get my bag and I'm going to find the shuttle, and I'm like, okay, where's the shuttle? Where's the shuttle? And I see Chris from Double Midnight who runs the show down there, and I'm like, hey Chris, do you know where the shuttle is? He's like, oh, this way. Okay, so I'm like, all right, just walking on, I'm like seeing the shuttle, not realizing the shuttle is literally for artists and all of that, but I'm like just going to get on and all that. So I go to get on the bus and I start talking to someone. I'm like, oh, hey, it's Corey Smith. Like, oh man, I came to this con. I was hoping to meet you and all that. He's like, oh wow, me, and we're just talking to him and talking to his wife and all that. And I'm like, oh yeah, and there's Sarah Meyer, and Sarah's like, hi, Justin. It's like we've met like 2 or 3 times or something like that, but she's never been a guest on the show yet. But it's just so funny. It's like the circles that you run in on how the people that you know and know you back. I'm like, this is surreal right now. Like this is
Hmm.
crazy. And I came, Joey from Ninja Turtles was with me on the bus
Yeah.
too. So it's all of us, and we're just like looking around. We're like, man, look at us, the two frauds sitting with these, these guys who are like
You
published artists and
posers.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because like I said, everybody knows everybody else's work.
Hmm.
Everybody sees the magenta and they're like, oh, I know Joey. And that was kind of the cool thing. And Sarah, like, just being there, getting a chance to talk with her and talk to her about like animation and all that. She is such a wealth of knowledge about animation. You have no idea. Like, she's an absolute just like a savant when it comes to like the 87 Turtles cartoon. I had no clue. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, I got to chat with her a little bit at her booth, but she did the. I don't know if you guys are reading the Saturday Morning Adventures.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, so she's obviously a big part of that. But I was talking to her specifically about the Turtleverse issue where she got to draw like the 87 the 87 turtles, and then like one Raph from Rise and Mikey from the 2012, like they were all in that one issue together. And she's like, that was a dream come true.
That's
being
awesome.
able to draw all of those different variations in one go. And I was like, man, I can't even imagine how cool that would be as a Turtle fan to get to do that as I mean, just as your job in general, but to cover something like that.
And her getting to work with Eric, Eric Burdom, who's so underrated when it comes to
absolutely
just writing. I think what he's done on Mutant Nation, like it's like my favorite part of this whole new series.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's get more of that Casey Jones, whatever he's doing. Like, it's
Yeah.
awesome, so cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm really excited to see where all the new storylines and stuff are going. So it's a good time to be a Turtles fan for sure.
Oh yeah, like I said, there's 6 books out there right now. One of the books, I should say, actually premiered at Granite State, which was a week early, which was cool. So I'm talking about the Masters of the Universe crossover that we were able to get issue 1 from Mike Ruth. So that was pretty cool. We had previously done an interview with writer Tim Seeley and Freddie Williams II, so who was also at the show. And we just go through and we're like, oh, the book's here. We could read it. So naturally, one of the first stops that we make is to go see our friend Mike Ruth. We do. And Eric's like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy all these. So he pulls out like $180 worth of comics. And I'm like, well, I'm going to buy them too. I'll have what he's having. Right. So I did. I think the only thing I didn't get was like you had like a remark on one or something, but it was like I didn't get
no remarks.
Oh, okay. So then we got the same thing, right? So we go about our day and then go to sleep, wake up in the morning, it's time before the con. You got 2 kids. I swear we were like 2 kids in elementary school sitting there on our beds like we went on a field trip, and we were just reading comic books in the morning. It was crazy. and I'm sitting there going, "Oh," and he's going, "Oh, cool," because we were reading the He-Man crossover. I was definitely 4 years old again. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was cool. I when I was walking the floor, I saw those. I was like, "Oh, that's not out yet. I got to swing by and pick up one of those." So, yeah, so that was one of my first stops, also.
And then afterwards, after the first night, we're hanging out with some friends of ours that we've known through doing tags. I'd say is probably where we know like Carol and Greg and Mike and all them from. So and we end up doing a was it a Whatnot stream?
Yeah,
we're just sitting next to Hugh and Mike, just watching them go, and Mike's like, oh yeah, I've got to do a crow, and let me do this, and Mike's wife, Miss Erica, is there, and she's or Lady Erica, she's there, and she is watercoloring a Usagi Yojimbo.
Oh my god, that was.
And then Hugh starts in on this. He's like, he's got the back of one of these Ninja Turtle #1s with like that circle. He's like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. And he makes this Ronin, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then he keeps going, and I'm like, oh wow, it's just getting better. I'm like, oh wait, and then everything comes into focus, and it's like there's buildings behind this, and it looks like it's in a fisheye lens and all that, and you colored it. I don't think people understand what a dangerous man with a pencil that Hugh Rookwood is.
Oh my gosh, he's ridiculous.
It is one of those things, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, put it up for bid and all that." And I'm like, how much is that? Like $1,300? He's like, "Oh, I think it sold for 85." I'm like, what?
85? Holy!
I'm like, what?
I would have bought 7 of them.
yeah, no, seriously, that's the Whatnot streams. I mean, you're getting a deal on that stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will say this: since we're talking about Mr. Hugh Rookwood, we did have some audio from him. We interviewed him last week to talk about just how everything went, and we'll talk about the sketch off challenge and all that. I unfortunately lost it; it didn't go through, so the audio died on me. So we'll just have to express how excited he was to see his fan support. And Reese, did you get a chance to go to the sketch off?
I missed the sketch off. I forget what I was probably trying to get in line for Eastman.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, actually,
that line was long.
That was crazy long. But yeah, I missed.
You
the
had a really
off.
good reason to get in line for him, and I'm glad things worked out like that for you.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah, the my son had drawn. So actually, going back to the when Kevin Eastman was at C2E2, I had got him to do a remark on my arm, and then I got it tattooed right there at the show.
So cool.
So this year, when I told my son, he's 6, I told my son I'm going to the show to meet Kevin Eastman. He's like, who's that? And I was like, well, he's the one of the guys that created the Turtles, and he did the tattoo on my arm. He goes, oh, I want to draw him a turtle. I was like, I think he'd love that. So he drew, I think he drew Mikey and Donnie, and so I got to give that to Kevin at the show, and he was obviously super nice. Kevin's such an awesome guy, and he actually made it his Facebook profile picture like a few days later, my son's drawing, and I was like over the moon because that was so surreal. It was such a weird feeling, but yeah, that was cool. So yeah, I had to get in line at least to give that drawing that my kid did.
This was a really long line, guys. Like in all honesty, like that was
every day too. But
yeah,
every day it was no less than. I mean, I got in line. Actually, I got in line with Joey Ninja Turtles, and he and I got to hang out for about 3.5 hours. Is about how long it took us to get through the line, because that's how long it was. Just about every day.
I think Kevin started at about 10 a.m. Maybe a little earlier because he had a pre-sign, something like that. They had pre-signed stuff, and he had like 14 people or something like that. So imagine he starts his day then. He didn't stop signing until 11 p.m. Yeah. So literally just going straight through. I don't think he got up to eat. I don't think he got up to use the restroom. Anything. I'm sure he did or something at some point, but
I think he even canceled one of his photo ops because his line was so long. I think some people missed out on photo ops with him because he didn't want to leave the table.
That level of commitment is crazy. Ridiculous. Like in all seriousness, I don't know anybody else that does that. You know, people burn out and all that. He just has this energy, this enthusiasm that goes through, and he's the nicest guy about everything. Like
so nice.
He genuinely cares about like, oh, well, what do you think about this or anything? I'm like, that is so rare. Like, it's just wonderful. I'll tell you guys this. I had the opportunity because I was there a little bit after Eric checked out of the hotel room and all that, and I go down on Monday, because that Sunday was the last day of the show, and we're saying bye to people and all that. I see some of our buddies. I saw Rob Denner, and I saw I saw Randy MacArthur and all that, and I'm like, oh, anybody still around? He's like, oh, Kevin's in there eating breakfast. And sure enough, it was Kevin and Fiona having breakfast. I sat down at a table over from them, just hanging out, and I paid for his breakfast. I saw the waitress, and I said, I'd like to pay for their breakfast. Please don't make a big deal about it or whatever. She didn't understand whatsoever and then charged me for like the next person that walked in too, but that's fine. So I'm like, whatever, because somebody went over to say hi to him. So that means like charge the breakfast, but whatever. So I paid for his breakfast. They just said thank you and all that. And at that point he went off to go see Pete. So, it was pretty crazy. I got like that last sort of bookend experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But what we should talk about real quick is we did have. I just kind of want to set this up. So Eric and I did an interview, and we did it with I think his name was Brandon, right?
Yes, Brandon Berry.
So Brandon, from his company where he recreated the Turtles sewer layer and the rooftop. So we have some audio from that. So what we'll do is we'll cut to this and we'll come right back. So let's check this out.
Is this all? There's no video?
Not on this one.
Okay, so I don't want to look at it.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. Well, go ahead. This is Justin from Epic Tales of the Sewers, and I'm here with
Brandon Berry.
Brandon, we're in a very interesting location, aren't we? Why don't you tell us where we're sitting right now?
We're sitting in feature presentations of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sewer lair.
This is fantastic. I am literally sitting next to Brandon and Master Splinter, and there's a mouser over here. Eric, you're here too.
Yes, I am.
I don't know if we can hear Eric over there. What possessed you to make this amazing creation?
Kevin Eastman.
Nice. Okay. What's your origin story when it comes to the Ninja Turtles?
We don't have all day, do we?
Well, I think we'll give it a shot.
10 years old, I discovered the Ninja Turtles through a comic book, their number one issue, which I got
Nice.
2 of.
Ooh.
All right,
Okay.
2, all right?
First printing.
Yes.
That's really good.
And you know what I did with it? Because I was 10 years old, I colored it.
Oh, because it was
black
black and white. Yeah.
Yep. I still have the other one, colored one, and that's it. And I've been obsessed with Ninja Turtles ever since. Ninja Turtles have helped me through some difficult times in life and stuff like that. It's always been consistent, through the different years and that. And then I, wanted to start a family and met a girl, had a kid, moved to New Hampshire where she was from.
Okay.
And did some events, met Kevin Eastman, stuff like that. And now, through the different things, my circle's kind of complete because now I'm friends with Kevin Eastman and stuff like that.
Just for a minute, if that would be all right.
Sorry about that. I was
That's all right.
distracted. From being a fan to being a friend, from Detroit, Michigan to New Hampshire, my circle is like complete now. I met the guy, Kevin and Peter, and they've been great. And it's, a lot of the stuff that I do, the way I try to be, how they like care about the fans, and they'll stay there to make the first one's there, the last one's to leave.
You've been honestly super friendly to us and
Yeah.
all that. Like when we met you a couple times, and I'd seen you walking around. So yeah, I'd say that you're definitely living that dream.
Right. So, we built the set for Kevin Eastman for Granite Con maybe 3 years ago, and we did the photo ops
nice.
in here for him and that, and it's just been a big hit, especially with the 40th anniversary.
So who have you had in here?
From the Turtles, we've
Yeah.
had all the voice actors.
Wow. Okay.
Minus April O'Neil. I have not yet met her yet.
So Renee's not been here yet,
Right.
but Townsend Coleman, Cam Clark,
Yep.
Barry Gordon, and Rob Paulson.
Yes, and
Right.
I've also had, all the stars that are here today, and Judith Hall multiple times.
So Judith and the other stars here for the listeners: Brian Tochi, Ken Scott, Ernie Reyes Jr., and Francois Chow. So also Robbie Rist. So that's great. So you mentioned you're from Detroit. Any plans on making a RoboCop set?
Oh, I'd love to. I like RoboCop, but yeah, that's a tough one.
I imagine. So what do you want folks to get out of your art that you have here? Because you've recreated
enjoyment.
this.
That's the thing. I love bringing out a new set, and I always have new sets coming out all the time. So
Wow.
I'm supposed to rotate them out, but I can't let them go. So I got a warehouse full of stuff. But my best thing is when I bring out a new set, no matter what it is, but there's a fan that loves it, and that they stop and it's like, oh my God, that's not great. And I love that. So
Yeah.
that's what I get out of it, and I think it brings enjoyment to people, and it gives people at the show something else to do, and we print out pictures for them while they're in the set to do like a keepsake or
Yeah.
that. So
I think it's awesome.
I also was owner of New England Brethren of Pirates at a time, and I dressed up as Jack Sparrow, so we did a lot of charity events, and we, by doing that, I also get pictures with kids, and like today, I'm not dressed up as Jack Sparrow, but we also have these kids now are grown, and so I get the pictures of, it's like, oh yeah, I've been getting a picture with you for this year, and so it's kind of neat to see how the fans have grown and stuff
And
like
for
that.
the listeners, he does look a lot like Jack Sparrow.
Yes, very
That's
much.
Captain.
Very much so.
Captain Jack.
Captain Jack.
Can we hear a little Jack Sparrow?
not today.
No, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious. I know, like, this thing, it's absolutely huge. I'm just kind of curious how long something like this would take you to build.
It actually depends on what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not a millionaire. I have to work
Yeah.
within my means and
Yeah.
budget and stuff like that. So we're always, which is actually not bad. Anyone can do this. Well, I hope not everyone
Yeah.
can do this, but you have to. You get creative with what you can do with what you have.
Yeah.
And I like to try to put out a professional product in that. But yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean,
Something like this can take, we usually we start in the spring to build, and we like to debut a set a year.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do more than that, or pieces in that. But yeah, it's, it can take anywhere from 2 weeks to months.
I got you. It just depends on the project.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
And some are easier, and then me and my partner Sadie, we fight all the time because we want accurate. We want it accurate. Like we did a Twin Peaks set, and we fought over the
nice
the color of the floor because what color is the floor of the Twin Peaks set?
Black and white, right?
No, it's not.
What?
Yeah, it's like an off-white, yellowish color and like a maroon.
Oh.
But everyone thinks it's black and white. So now you have that decision, like, do I make it black and white, what everyone thinks, or do I make it like that? I also did the Evil Dead cabin, and one side of the Evil Dead cabin in the film looks blue. And I was setting it up at a show, and they're like, oh, this is good, but your cabin is, you did the wrong color, It's like, no, watch this. And I turn the lights on, and it's blue. And they're like, oh, all right. So,
wow.
We always have that in mind where, like, it's what you remember, what it looks like, So, I mean, we have all these
Which
things.
is a very Twin Peaks sort of theme, too. That's amazing.
And one of the things, how we found that out was because, like, when we watch, we study the things. The sewer lair is my interpretation of the cartoon version. You got the one-way sign. I don't have the dragon. I put the critters thing in there. It's like, we all like the Easter eggs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I don't, in the cartoon, I don't know what that banner said, but that one, it's in Japanese, and it's got my company's name on it, feature presentation. So I mean, there's Easter eggs throughout the whole thing.
That's really cool. And you got the Shredder helmet on the vintage TV.
Yeah.
All of the TCRI canisters, a mouser, and the nunchucks and stuff. Ken Scott maybe pick those up and show us a thing or two. Where do you want folks to find you, and how can they find you?
They can always check me out on Facebook and Instagram. Mostly on Facebook for myself, Brandon Barry, or feature presentations.
Okay, excellent. And you're on Instagram, Facebook, and it looks like X.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not really. I don't really do the social media. I'm not allowed to.
Oh, no problem. So
they won't let me talk.
It looks like it's www.now and then the number 4yourfeature.com or now 4yourfeature on Instagram. All right. Thanks very much to our guests. Thanks for joining us on Epic Tales from the Sewers.
Thank you, guys.
All right, cool. That was fun. I had completely lost my voice, but at least we got some audio from it.
Yeah, that was an interesting night. How you lost your voice too.
Yeah, that was fun. I don't know if so. I lost my voice doing karaoke, and we'll see if next year if they have the same thing. I don't think I'd choose that song again because why? How could you? I sang Three Little Pigs by Green Jello, so I kind of it was a good show. But like the funny thing about it is a couple people after me. Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine, comes on to sing a Billy Joel tune. And this is, again, a surreal thing because I didn't expect this at a small... you're like, what? Wolverine? And he's like, listen here, you piece of gutter trash. And then he's up there singing like, bottle of red, bottle of wine. You're like, oh, okay.
That's crazy.
Dude, it was a blast. There was no cover charge or anything either. It was literally just for the people of Granite. So it was fun.
Just go in there and just have fun. I mean, it was. I'm not gonna lie. It was an epic 3 days up there, man. It was a lot of fun. Definitely had a blast.
Let's talk about this. So we talked about Kevin Eastman. Let's talk about when the three of us met up and we went over to go meet all the movie star actors. How about that? Because Eric and I had a photo op where we were going to go over. And we met up with Reese, and we're like, let's all go over together and all that. So we did. We walked across the street to the SNU arena, the Southern New Hampshire arena where they had it, and it's kind of down in a bowl. So if you walk into like a concert, it's where the stage of the concert would be, or if they put like, I don't know what else they would really do there, but stuff like that. So we went down and they had a whole row of animation people and all that. But they also had the Celebration, which was a whole row of all the people from the movies that were showing up. Mm-hmm. So do you guys remember everybody that was there?
Yeah. Judith Hogue, obviously, and Ernie Reyes,
Ken
Scott,
Robbie Rist,
and Francois Chow.
Francois Chow, and then Leonardo voice.
Brian Toshi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Toshi.
Toshi. I couldn't think. I want to say I know there was like a she at the end.
So they're all set up, and I mean Eric and I were already in awe because we just walked by the mystery machine and all that. So it's cool, and we're going. We're like, all right, we're all set up to get our picture and all that, but let's go see where these people are because we got a little time. So you've got Ken Scott who's kind of leading it off. He's leading the celebration, so to speak. Running the show, and it was kind of funny because he comes out like as we're all going to get in line and all that. He comes out and I was like, oh, look, it's one of the flying beats. And he goes, hey, what's up, brother? And he pounds my fist and all that. So, because we had him on the show. So he had like somewhat recognized me. I don't think he knew my name, but he's like, oh, I know you, And it was funny because it was just one of those things. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to like whatever. Like he doesn't recognize me.
Yeah.
But like, sure enough, later on, he's like, oh, I know who you were. I'm like, oh, shit, okay. That's kind of crazy. But it was cool because we start going through all these different things and we get to where Judith is and I'm like, well, I already got my picture taken with Judith, so I'm not gonna get something signed. Eric had to get something signed, and Reese was like, yeah, this is my chance to meet Judith Hogue and all that, and I just kind of like tagged along and all that. I'm just standing there, and Eric, I'll let you take it from here. So.
Well, I know that Reese ended up getting his picture and all that stuff. And then she was like, she found out that we were part of the Cool Kids Club too.
Yeah.
And we ended up taking a picture with all three of us. And I thought that was an epic moment. But I know when we took our picture with the whole group, the first thing that she said to me was like, oh, a fellow ginger, eh? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. And I'm just like, but definitely had a moment later the next day, I think.
We'll have to get to that in a bit.
That'll be later.
Yeah, that's a whole other experience after an experience.
But yeah, we ended up, she didn't charge us for the picture, which I thought that was really, really cool. We ended up pictures, but all three of us got pictures. I still have it. I think I just thought it was awesome that what she did, and you know what I'm saying. I mean, she was awesome, man.
Was that the point where she was talking to us about trying to get Elias out?
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
Yeah, so she said that she was trying to get Elias and do something where they both sign something because nobody has Casey and April signed together.
Right. Yeah, she was talking about the NECA farm 2-packs.
Yeah.
Like doing like a raffle or charity something.
Yeah.
But yeah, because he doesn't go out to the cons or anything. She said he's a very private person. So
it wasn't what I was expecting. She said that he has a lot of social anxiety, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, why would you do this if you didn't have to either? If you're still a working actor and all that, so
right.
But yeah, it was a great interaction. She gave so much back to like just every fan, and it was amazing. Yeah. And of course, she's wearing yellow, like April, so
yeah. It was perfect. Yeah, that was my first time meeting her, and she was she was down to earth. And you said you felt like you were tagging along. I felt like I was the third wheel there because you guys were.
I tried not to mess up because Eric was working his magic and all that. They were having a good time talking back and forth about being gingers, and so I'm just like, yeah, I'm just here,
Yeah. So yeah, they were all. I mean, everyone was. Just so friendly, so down to earth, and
yeah, it was crazy. I didn't have a chance to meet Brian there, and I didn't have a chance to meet Robbie there, but I obviously said hi to Ken and Francois because Francois is a friend of the show. One of probably the I mean, he's just one of the most generous people, like with his time and all that. Like, he loves to talk sci-fi. And he knows his stuff, and it's just like, oh yeah, The Expanse or Lost or anything else like that. And he was such a joy to talk to. Like, he's like, oh yeah, after this I got to go mow my lawn. I'm like, that was not what I was expecting you to say.
He's such a down to earth person. I've got to meet him 4 times.
Oh wow!
And every time it's been absolutely amazing. I mean, I can't say nothing bad about the guy.
He gave me a hug, dude. Like, I was just like, wow, this is crazy, And I'm just like, wow, the guy who died in the first 10 minutes of Beverly Hills Ninja. So, no, I mean, just geeking out a little bit about it, and also just thinking about like what great people go to this. Like, this is the reason that we tell listeners, like, go to the show because of this. Because it's like, yeah, you'll pay $40 for an experience or something like that, but it's going to be worth millions of dollars in terms of like your memories. Just amazing stuff.
It's a priceless moment. It really is.
Yeah. So we had after that our group picture, or the group picture may have been before. I think it was before.
It was before everything, and then because I think we did it the day before, and the next day we went and go see.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
I can't remember. It was just.
But it was cool because we were in line and we knew people in line too. We ended up running into Grace, aka the Queen. Was a very. I mean, she's a Twitch streamer. She's a content creator, a Donatello fanatic. And we had talked to her about being on the show before, and then we run into her and met her husband, who, I mean, we honestly hit it off with him too. So he was great.
Yeah.
I like those guys a lot.
Yeah, I know we had some conversations. We had long conversations, probably about a couple of hours conversation, especially after, after everybody was hanging out at the lobby and stuff. So
yeah, it was fun. And I mean, you guys were talking about video games, and I know she's known for her video game collection.
Yeah, I got a little over 50 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games.
Did you end up buying the new one, like any of the new ones?
The Mutant Mayhem one, yeah, I got that one.
I didn't get that yet. I don't know.
I got them.
Check it out.
I got it. I mean, I like it.
It's for kids. I get it.
Yeah. It's
I'll wait for it to go down.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna wait for it to go down. To be honest with you, keep an eye on Walmart.
Okay.
Because I end up picking up. I don't know what game I ended up picking up, but I got it for like $10. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab this up for $10. I couldn't beat that. I paid like $50 for 2 games, and one of them was like on clearance. I was like, yeah, and it's sealed. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Gaming. So talking about gaming a little bit, we got to meet the guys from Palladium, who are doing the Kickstarter to bring back the Ninja Turtles game, the mutants and more. So that was pretty fun to get to meet them. Nice bunch of guys, really smart, and I mean, what they're doing is bringing everything back, and they've revised everything. That's pretty cool. They were actually like right next to us too, like just right step down next to us.
The steps, yeah. I actually didn't talk to those guys, but I did. I was part of the Kickstarter for that. So
I am waiting for my stuff.
I'm excited to see that. Yeah, I went too much on that. I went all.
Did you get the miniatures?
I think I did. If I didn't do that, I did the miniatures on the. There was another board game or card game that just came out.
I saw that one. I didn't get in on that one, but I wanted to.
Unmatched or something.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it looked cool. But I'm like, I literally just did this.
Yeah, I know. I did both because I'm a sucker. So
I understand this all too well.
But yeah, the tabletop stuff looks awesome. I'm really excited for that.
One thing I did want to mention too is that I met previously 2 really talented young guys who are doing a podcast, and it's called the Geek Gossip Podcast, and they're out there. They have their own band called Spectre Moose, and these 2 guys, I caught up with them right after they did the panel, the IDW Through the Years panel, like the history of, and they crushed it. So Josh Evan, who is our Cerberus collector, comes up to me and he goes, "Dude, did you check out those kids at that panel? They crushed it." So I ran and I got them and I said, "Let's do an interview right here and now." Their dad was actually one of the artists in the Armory, and he was just kind of like a little bit further down from us. So I had him come over to the table and we did an interview, and it was just about like their experience and all that, actually running a panel. And I mean, these guys are like 15 and 17. So it's like they're young characters. So what I'll do is I'll play the audio for it. So check this out. This is the Geek Gossip podcast.
All right, it's a loud room here in the Armory at Granite State, but we're going to try to give this a shot. I am here with two absolute heroes of this con. From what I understand, they have just absolutely destroyed the Mirage 40th anniversary panel for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am here with the Geek Gossip podcast.
Jack Higgins and Artie Higgins.
Yeah, this is pretty cool, and actually your dad is here exhibiting some art too, right?
Yeah, Ryan L. Higgins. He has his own self-published title, Laserbrain Comics, anthology stories. So he's been, peddling that for a couple of years, and he just recently did a variant cover on TMNT #1, a reprinting of it. So he's been selling that, and he's excited to be part of the whole Turtles thing. But yeah, we just had our panel for our podcast, where this is the biggest panel we've done yet here at Granite State. We've been doing panels for 3 years, but we got to do the Mirage 40th anniversary one with Kevin Eastman, Ken Matroni, Steve Levine, Eric Talbot, Jim Lawson, Michael Dooney. Am I forgetting anyone?
No, that's everybody.
Yeah, so it was absolutely huge, full house, totally insane. Definitely one of probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But yeah, it was really cool. All those guys are super nice. We've talked to most of them in the past. So getting to have all of them on that panel was awesome. This big reunion of the Mirage days, them all bouncing off of each other, was very cool. They kind of kept the conversation going. I was nervous because crowd was really big. But,
yeah, it was crazy.
They're all super nice guys. Artie, you have anything to add to that?
Oh no, just the same. It was like such a crazy experience doing that in front of such a huge crowd. But they just kind of took over. They just kept the conversation going, which was great. So that was cool.
The thing that the listeners have to understand is that the two gentlemen I'm standing here are not even 18 yet. So I mean, these are youngsters that handled themselves absolutely famously, and it's just really something that's worthy of the discussion here. Let's talk about some of the questions that you asked them. What were some of the questions that you asked the original Mirage Squad?
Well, we asked how the Turtles started. Obviously, that was a good starter. And then we talked about how each and every one of them got involved with Mirage. And then we kind of went on to talking about different fun stories of them all working at Mirage at the same time, what their creative process is like, and then we ended it with who's your favorite turtle? What's your favorite adaptation of the Turtles? And what's it been like watching the legacy of these turtles and how much impact they've had?
That's a good question, and I would put that question back on you. What's your favorite turtle? I should say, who's your favorite turtle? What's your favorite incarnation of that turtle?
My favorite would either be Donnie or Mikey. My favorite incarnation of Donnie would definitely be from the 2012 show, nice. I would say. The Rob Paulson voice one, that was awesome. Mikey, I'd probably have to go Last Ronin. Okay. Last Ronin's a great version of his character. He has such good character development there. That's probably why he would be my number one choice for favorite turtle, just because he has such great character development throughout the Last Ronin saga, and that's awesome.
What voice do you hear for the Last Ronin? Because I think of a gritty sort of Robbie Wrist.
Yeah, right. Yeah, more gritty, dark type thing. Not at all Greg Kipes or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think that would work.
Yeah.
Oh, how about yourself?
For me, favorite turtle, for the longest time, I've wanted to be Leo. He was the one I looked up to, but it took a lot of maturity to realize the one I related to the most was Raphael. So he's been my favorite for the last few years, and I've just really connected with his stories. Favorite version, easily the Mirage one. The Raphael one shot is probably my favorite single issue of any comic ever. It's just so amazing, so well drawn, and I like his dynamic with Casey. And if we're going favorite character in the entire Turtles universe, then it's Casey, specifically the one from the 1990 movie. But yeah.
Oh, I gotta add, I think my favorite Donnie would be the 90 movie one, the one voiced by Corey Feldman. Nice. Yeah, I think Donnie in live action, just the action sequences of him fighting with the bow staff is just awesome.
Points to Artie on this one. You gave the wrong answer. And no, I'm just kidding. I'm a Leo guy. Eric is my co-host is a Raph guy, so nice. I just like to give people hell about it. So have you guys ever seen the online? There's CGI and it looks just like the original '90s Turtles, and they did this animation of Donatello and Leonardo with weapons beating up the foot.
No,
Oh, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's all CGI too. It's nuts, and it looks just like it. So it leads me to my next question. They're doing a Last Ronin movie. What kind of expectations do you think to have about this? Because now you guys are industry experts.
I mean, like, I think it could be cool. It's just, I don't know about having like it would kind of take away from the seriousness and the vibe of the Last Ronin to have it be a big guy in a suit or a big CGI guy. Like, I think they should have just gone full animated with this, you know, like the other day Jack and I were actually talking about this and you said like rated R.
Yeah, like sort of like those like direct-to-video DC movies.
Yes.
If they made it like rated R, animated, super violent, I think it would definitely be better. Because like I think so much of the Last Ronin story is the different artists with their different styles depicting different eras in Mikey's life.
Yeah, because you have like the Escorza brothers doing the main gritty thing. You have Ben Bishop doing those like crazy like spiritual type flashbacks, and then Kevin Eastman doing his like big journey. So like
The
if you
journal page, that's usually Kevin,
yeah, so if you switch between different animation styles, just replicating their drawing styles, it would make for like one of the best comic book adaptations of all time.
I think that's solid advice. Points for Jack on that one. So it looks like we're going to end on a tie. Just kidding. But why don't we tell the folks where we can find your show?
We do primarily YouTube now. So on YouTube, the Geek Gossip, you'll see we put out more like edited videos. We do solo videos on reviews of movies, rankings of movies, different stuff like that. And then we also do a bunch of interviews. And we're on Instagram at the Geek Gossip _podcast. That's where we're the most active. But then we also have a Facebook.
Excellent. Anything to add, Jack?
Yeah, just pretty much what he said. And then we also got a band, Spectre Moose, hard rock, heavy metal. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, basically anywhere you listen to sick tunes, we're there. And should we tell them about the movie?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Okay, we're working on a movie too.
Awesome.
So that'll be around soon.
Yeah, just stay tuned on all our socials, and there'll be an announcement of that.
All right, everybody. That's the Geek Gossip podcast. You check them out on Instagram, and I will have a link in this episode.
Great stuff. Good guys. So that was fun. Another thing, we ended up doing a picture afterwards. All of this, the end of the maybe Sunday, we did all the podcasters. So there was Brian Van Hooker, and it was the two gentlemen from Geek Gossip, and it was us doing just a big group podcast picture. It was kind of fun. So it was neat.
That it was.
Now, Reese, you mentioned that you got to meet the cartoon voices this trip. We didn't get to see really anybody besides like in the lobby. Do you have any good experiences getting to see the turtle voices?
So I actually at Granite Con I didn't, but I did meet them at C2E2. So, but yeah, like just awesome guys. I was wearing one of my own shirts that I drew based off of the coming out of their shells tour, like those freaky like toothy masks, giant teeth mask, turtle heads.
Crazy.
And I was wearing that, and up in the picture, coming up to the photo op, I did a photo op with all four of them, and they were like, "Whoa, what's that shirt? I've never seen that before." And I was like, "Yeah, that was my own, that's my own art." And they're like, "You drew this? Do you have a table here?" And I was like, they were just super friendly. It was like they put me on cloud nine just hearing that kind of feedback from, I mean, essentially they were who I grew up listening to, watching on TV. And it was just, again, we keep saying surreal, but it really is a surreal moment, interacting with these people that shaped, a lot of your childhood, it was bizarre, but yeah, like they were super nice. And then I got to talk to each and every one of them after, at their autograph tables individually and stuff. And yeah, they were just awesome, down to earth, very interested in, how you came to be turtle fans and, talking all things turtles and stuff. They were just awesome guys. But yeah, because I had such a awesome interaction with them at C2E2, I opted for other things at Granite Con, but
but it was an option. It's like, I mean,
Yeah,
they
for
were
sure.
doing pictures with people in the turtle layer, like
Yeah,
previously. So you
yeah,
you could go over there and do that, and no Renee this time. Renee Jacobs didn't get a chance to make it,
yeah. I
and
still haven't met her actually, so she's still on my list to
I did.
hopefully one day meet.
She is she's something else, man. Like I'll tell you, like I walked over and she saw my shirt and she pulled me over, and that was that. There was
Yeah,
no way we were not going to have a conversation, and Renee's pretty interesting. I gotta
that's
say,
awesome.
it was pretty cool. I saw her at Terrificon in 2023 in Connecticut. She was there, and that was cool. But
Yeah,
what I was going to say is this was the year that we lost Pete Renaday, who did the voice of Master Splinter, and this was a week after, I think, after he had passed, and everybody's there, and emotions are raw and stuff, and they did a little tribute, from what I understand, just for their fallen comrade. So
yeah,
it's sad, but it was cool too, because it wasn't just the turtles' voices. Like they also had Maurice LaMarche, who so now you've got Pinky and the Brain. So, and it's nice because it seems like some of the bigger cons like C2E2 or Fan Expo get those guys, but
yeah,
I don't know if you like a smaller con, like, are you going to get them? No, but since all these people like Rob Paulson are showing up for the turtle stuff, and
yeah.
Cam Clark and all those guys, like Barry and Townsend, that's how you get these other people to show who normally would not be in this hemisphere. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see all of that, like different worlds colliding in terms of the, like, you got the Turtles movies actors, you got
Yeah.
the voiceover actors, you got all the comic book artists. Like it really was um, a unique experience all around. Like it was awesome.
It's funny that you should mention the movie actors and the artists. So Eric and I have a little bit of a story. So this is one I don't think you got to hear this one, but so this was what, Saturday night, Eric? I think Saturday night after walking back, and
Yeah.
we're going back by the hotel bar, and we look over and we see some people there, and we're like, oh, Kevin Eastman's hanging out over there. Judith Hogue is hanging over there. And I said, well, Eric, we can't be rude. It would be rude of us not to go say hello and all that. So we do. We go over there and we see that our friend Mike from the Your Childhood Was Trash podcast is already over there schmoozing a little bit too. So we're like, okay, let's go over and say hi. And it's funny. I go over to the bar because I was going to get a drink or something like that, and right behind me comes Ken Scott and Brian Toshi. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. Eric is nowhere to be seen now. I look over. He's talking to Judith and Kevin. Judith and Kevin. Eric is doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. I'm doing it with Ken and Brian, and he's doing it with Kevin and Judith. And we're having just these great conversations.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, gentlemen, do you mind if I buy your first drink and all that? Oh, great. That's great. What are you having this? And, oh, what are you having? And we're comparing. It's like, oh, I like this in it. So, okay, I think Brian Toshi had like a gimlet, and I think Ken had like a Manhattan or something like that. So we start talking, and I'm like, hey guys, what do you think about like fans who come up and ask you to take pictures like off the con? He's like, it's okay if you ask and all that, and I'm just doing this, and I'm just working the room. I'm networking like you would at your job or anything else like that. Just asking these guys about stuff like this. We're just having a conversation, just two people and all that. And I'm looking around, and now everybody that I know in terms of artists has like shown up behind us. And I mean, like
Hmm.
every turtle artist that I know literally is in here hanging out. Tom Waltz is over there hanging out, right?
Yeah.
And that'll be more of Eric's story, I'm sure. So, but he's hanging out. So Eric Burnham, let's see who else. Aaron Bartling is there.
Yeah.
Matthias
This is
Santaluca,
cool.
Ben Bishop, all these guys are hanging out. And I start talking to Ken, and I say, oh, did you get a chance to read The Last Ronin or any of the Turtles comics? He's like, I did, and I really wish that I got a chance to meet some of these guys. I'm like, oh, that's easy. You want to meet these guys? He's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, Ben Bishop, come over here. So I pull Ben Bishop over, and I'm like, hey, Ben, this is Ken Scott and this is Brian Toshi. Ken played Raphael in the first movie and the second movie, and Brian's the voice of Leonardo. Hey, Ben, why don't you tell Brian Toshi who your favorite Ninja Turtle is? And Ben just looks up and he goes, Leonardo? And it's like that. So they start talking and all that. And he's like, oh, wow, you did the last Ronin and all that. And I am not kidding. I totally set this whole thing up just like pulling him in. The next person I pull in is Mateus Santaluco.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, hey, like he's my friend and I've known him for like 100 years or something. I'm like, hey, Mateus, come on over here. This is Ken Scott and all that, and he's a martial artist and he did Raphael. And this is Brian Toshi. I'm like, and I said to Mateus, same thing I did to Ben. I'm like, why don't you tell him who your favorite Ninja Turtle is? He goes, Raphael. He looked like a 4-year-old kid talking to Santa Claus. It was awesome. I slapped him on the back and I go, hey, didn't you do martial arts? And he's like, yeah, I did Muay Thai. And he's like, oh, yeah. So now him and Ken are having this great conversation and all that. I did the same thing. I pulled over Hugh Rookwood. I pulled over Aaron Bartling. Like all the guys, and some of them were like, oh, okay, cool,
Took
like
pictures
or
for him.
not, and I was just like pulling people in and all that just so they could meet him and all that. Then it was like, oh, this is amazing. All of a sudden, Robbie Wrist shows up too. So now everybody I wanted to meet and talk to that I paid for and all that, and had this great conversation with before, I didn't get to meet Brian. I didn't get to meet Robbie. Well, I'm going to meet Robbie because, I'm going to meet Robbie. So I started talking to Robbie. I'm like, hey, you did this movie called Stump the Band in Illinois a couple years ago. And one of my best friends was actually the production designer. His name's Jason. He goes, no, he was the art director. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, so he and I start having a conversation, and then this conversation gets like weirdly metaphysical, philosophical, and all that. And I'm just like a fly on the wall, and I'm like having an out of body experience at this point. I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm right here, right now, having this conversation with someone. This is just nuts.
That's wild.
And that's my part of the story. Eric, you've got your own part of this story because you and I weren't even really near each other at this point. What were you doing?
Well, I know when we first pulled up and I seen Judith and I was like, my fellow Ginger, and she just kind of gave me this little head thing and she came up and gave me a big old hug. And I was like, holy shit, like that's, it's April O'Neil from the movie, she's giving me a big old but just got to talking to them and, asking just, I don't know. I know one thing that we did talk about was her playing in the live action movie of
Last Ronin.
Last Ronin. Yeah.
Yeah, but
there's been those rumors.
That came up as
can
like
she
you were
say
talking to
no?
Yeah.
Or can she say yes? Just put that out there. That was pretty much what was said. Because I know Kevin was very adamant about that. I think.
And Tom.
I think he would. And Tom. Tom. Oh boy. Splinter.
What a cool dude. And I don't want to inflate anybody's ego and all that, but I'm just saying, like, that's like, he's another one of those guys that I'm like, yeah, you could be a big brother. You're awesome.
Yeah. One little thing that me and him, he's a former Marine, I'm former Navy, so I told him I was his Uber. So he had a kick out of that one. But he also got one of my wife's blankets too. He got a Master Splinter, of course. I mean, can't expect anything less from Tom Waltz. He's a Splinter guy. Why not?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Tom Waltz, man. I mean, all of them. I mean, literally, that was actually one of the conversations that me, Judith, and Kevin, and a couple other people were having. She was talking about you go to all these different kind of cons, and you go to, oh, this is a big DC one, or this is a big heavy Marvel, con and all this other stuff. But with the turtle community, it's really very close knit, and it's different compared to any of the other communities that I've ever seen or witnessed or anything like that. Like you can go into some of the communities now, and that's all you hear is people fighting and fussing and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I
Don't get
mean,
me
if they're
wrong.
toy collectors, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, definitely a toy collector.
And
But
honestly, I think that's the Star Wars issue too. Is a
Yeah.
lot of them are probably fine, but like the toy collectors are probably the problem. Like,
yeah. Well,
not
that's
that
the
toy
whole.
collecting's bad. I'm a toy collector. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
I'm a
it's
toy collector
Oh,
too.
same.
And I'm not saying our community is perfect, but it's a lot less. There's a lot more people that are willing to go out their way and like, well, I paid this amount. I just want the same amount of money that I spent back to get it, and that's it. Instead of, or sometimes people even give people a break and just give it to them or give them half off for it.
yeah.
I see a lot more of that than I would in any other community. In our community, TMNT community. So that's, to me, it's, you know, she was, like I said, she was very, very big on that. Like it's just so much different, so close knit. It's like the brothers and Splinter. It's family. So
I mean, that's very much what the series is about. It's about found family.
mhm.
And then it's about real family and losing people and coping with loss and how do you deal with it in a family dynamic when two people are fighting. And like all kinds of stuff like that. And
Mhm.
at the end, we're all stronger for it because we've watched it together.
Yep, and grown.
And it's cool too because it's like we were there and we watched a whole bunch of beefs get squashed because of like this stuff. And I'm not saying anything about anybody's names, but I'm just saying it's like Granite is a transformative experience because you're there and now you're face to face with people. You get to talk it out in person.
Yeah.
And it's like people, it's like, oh, you ripped me off here, or you're ripping this person off, or anything. And you get together and you can actually talk about what's going on and find some common ground. And I've not seen that in adults,
Yeah.
not
Well, you
not really ever.
you also have Papa Sibo there, so
Yeah, shout out to Papa Sibo.
I mean that's this. I mean, he's going to make sure beefs are squashed one way or another.
100%. Yeah, like no, but I mean, like just talking about like the positive aspect of it, like getting
Yeah.
to hang out with some really awesome people. Benjamin Baldwin, Joey from Toidles was awesome. Getting to hang out with Reese a little bit, hanging out
Hmm.
with Chris, our buddy Chris from the Bish Kids. And I mean, getting to hang out with Aaron Hazari, getting to hang out with
Yeah.
Ethan,
Or
Ethan from a
ZP.
second time around. Him
Yeah.
and his whole family were there. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. So, and his kid was the cutest Mario ever. I
Oh my
said, I
gosh.
said, I have no self control. I would literally give you everything I own because you're so damn cute. So, but we got to meet just a whole bunch of the of people that we talked to and interact
On the
with in all these
community.
groups, Epic
Hmm.
Shells and all that. So, I mean, it's awesome. Good
Yeah.
times, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you guys had. I mean, I was staying at a friend of ours that was probably about 45 minutes away. So you guys had that little extra experience there at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hotel bars and stuff. So
And,
that's
and we
that's
knew
dope.
that from last year because I mean we were hanging out with like Camilo and John Somariva and Freddie,
Yeah.
Freddie Williams and stuff like that, and it just makes sense to be there. Like like it's so weird to say this, but it's like, Eric, do you remember who our next door neighbor was? Like when we went up, like our
Oh,
the hotel room right next to us was Jim Lawson.
oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
and the same floor was Tom Waltz. So
yeah,
it's like, and then it's like I got on the elevator and I'm like, yeah, that's Steve Levine, Eric Talbot,
man,
Jim Lawson.
I mean, so Jim Lawson was I had never met him before, and he's been one of my favorite turtle artists for many years now. I've always loved his stuff, and so he was like the number one. I mean, I was really hoping that Peter Laird would show up, obviously, like everyone else.
oh yeah,
But Jim
Lawson
Lawson,
doesn't come out to Illinois, so
right? And so yeah, so Jim Lawson was he was like my number one. Like I was so excited to meet him. And he was my first stop when they wouldn't let me into the Kevin Eastman line the first day. He was my first stop, and I think I dropped like $300 or $400 at his booth, like right away. I could not have been. He was so nice. Him and Kathy were so friendly and awesome to talk to, and they were just lovely people. Kathy came up and talked to me several more times after, just walking around. She friended me on Facebook.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was just like, this is the weirdest, surrealist thing. And I was actually, one of the things I was grabbing earlier, I was just going to show you guys. No one on the podcast.
Oh, beautiful. So it's the Frankenstein Mikey.
Yeah. So I've
color.
got, yeah, well, that was like a happy accident, as I would call it. But so I got like the sketch covers of the Universal Monster comics that Skybound and Image has been releasing, and so my goal is to get different artists, my favorite artists, to do the monsters from the Playmates, the Team NT Playmates line.
That's the Michael Walsh book, right? The Frankenstein book.
Yeah, this is Michael Walsh, and
so Michael Walsh did the cover and actually did the whole annual for the 2024 book, right before Armageddon game and all that. Might be 2024. So that's a really cool sort of crossover there.
Yeah, so I was really excited to get that. Jim Lawson was, like I said, one of my favorites. I paid for the black and white. He said it would be a little bit more to get the color, but I really wanted to do black and white on all of them. Well, I get an email because he wasn't doing art there. He wasn't doing commissions there, I should say. But I was like, can I give this to you? And, you mail it to me, whatever, I'll pay for shipping. He's like, yeah, I can do that. So I get an email about a week later, and it's from Kathy. I think it was from Kathy first. And she goes, Jim feels so bad. He finished it, and then he added color. And I know you wanted to do black and white. And I'm like, Jim does not need to feel bad about doing more work for me. And then like a few minutes later, I get an email from him separate. He's like, I feel terrible. I added the color. And I'm like, look, it's fantastic. I'm not going to complain about getting, more of your work than what I actually paid for. I felt kind of bad because I hadn't paid for it. He's like, oh, no. I'm not going to charge you for it. But when this showed up, I was like blown away with how awesome it looks. Like they're just friendly people. Steve Levine was such a nice guy. His wife was, they were all so
we loved D.
Awesome.
They were so friendly, and it was just a surreal experience, again with that word, but just meeting these artists that I've admired for so long, and then with the exception of maybe one, how friendly and down to earth they were.
He's a fantastic artist. He's still my favorite artist.
I love him. I've got several of his things. He was just very. He was. That was my first time meeting him too. So that was just after meeting Jim and Steve, and obviously I'd met Kevin a few times. That was just a little surprising, I guess. I don't know why, but
you got to see the Papa Sibo the zombie commission, right? That Jim Lawson did. It was maybe,
yes, I think so.
It was all like a big Bristol board size, and it was like zombies and turtles and all that, like all the characters zombified and such. And,
okay, I think I've seen that one. Yeah,
it was laid out, and Papa Sibo did this. He had Jim Lawson do it. I swear there's not a piece of negative space on on all of those pages, like cross hatches and like dots and stippling and everything. And I'm like, holy, it was amazing. Like it was just a lot of like really detailed, intricate artwork. It's crazy.
Yeah. Did you know there was an Easter egg to that piece?
What was the Easter egg?
Jim put himself in that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
In the flaming ice cube, right?
I think he did, but he was in one of the tunnels and stuff. Like he was up there. That's where Jim was. He put himself in there. Cool. So,
and I was talking to him about it, and we were talking about commissions and doing some work and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And I go, well, Jim, you can always spend on a new motorcycle. And he puts his hand on his beard and he goes, You're right. I could. And then Kathy's like, don't encourage him.
Yeah, she was so lovely. Just all of them
Mhm.
were fantastic. It was awesome. It was
Yeah,
really
it was great. Meeting Eric Talbot was awesome. You
yeah.
know, really really chill guy. I got to talk
Mhm.
to him a little bit. And a lot of these old school guys have great stories, but they don't really want to come on and do a podcast and anything. And most of them are kind of honest about it. They're like, that's really not something that I feel comfortable with. And like Jim he's like, I would really be anxious about it. I'm like, it's totally fine. Like getting to meet you was enough. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we're here. This is what we do. He's like, that's great. You know, I love that you guys, covered the code name Chameleon, because I was telling him about that, and it was cool. And I
I would
mean,
like.
meeting Tom Walls, that's
Mhm.
a dream guest for me to have on the
Yeah.
show. And I mean, we talked to him. He came over and heard the podcast because I had it playing. So it was fantastic. I think Chris from Bish Kids, Chris was hanging out with me when he came by, and then he had just stepped away to go buy his pages from Mateus Santaluco. So I mean, shout out to Chris. Those were beautiful. He bought the pages with like Angel by the docks and all that, and he's like, "Yeah, I bought this one a couple years ago. Now I want to get these others," and he's got them here. Yeah, I definitely encouraged him to spend some money. So yeah, it was,
And it was easy
man.
to do there. Easy to
Yeah.
spend money there. There was a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, I got some of the newer artists like Feral Pay was
Oh my
his
God,
stuff
so
is
good.
amazing.
Did you buy any of
Um,
his prints?
I did.
I bought like all 4 of his prints. They're so
Yeah,
good.
I think I got they're all, I don't know what I have here, but
Yeah, I think so.
I've
Someone
got the what I get, the Daredevil one, that his Daredevil like crossover
Turtle.
that he did.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Seen
man,
that
this
one. That
needs
was
this
sick.
needs to happen.
He is so dangerous. Like
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it's like he's going to go down in history as one of the greatest turtle artists of all time because he's just so talented, and he can do any style, and he can do any form or shape or anything of the turtles that you pick. And he's like, "Oh, how do you want it? 1984 Mirage style, or do you
Yeah.
want it 2011 style? Or hey, check it out. This is a painted version from Armageddon game. What the hell? I'm like, you're like a superstar, dude." It was pretty
Yeah.
crazy. And I kept sending people over to him because I'm like, yeah, do you see this book, The Night Watcher? Like, the artist is here. Go get it signed.
Yeah, like there was nobody. Oh, and then I got this one. There was nobody at his table most of the time. I was like, why is his table not swarmed? His stuff is so good.
Yeah, it was crazy. He was sitting over there next to Aaron
Squaresville.
Bartling, and he
Yeah.
was next to pretty close to Tom Waltz, but he was next to I think David Avalone,
Yeah.
who was another
Yep.
really cool guy. And next to that would be Troy Little. All awesome people that we met at this con. Fantastic. Some are Turtles related, some are not. All of them are part of the story. So Oh yeah,
his,
see,
Daredevil one.
fantastic. That's the '84 Turtles with
Hmm.
Daredevil from Feral
Yeah.
Pay.
That's
Fantastic.
Like he had, his stuff was. I mean,
There's too many good artists.
and they were all there. And I think I bought prints from every single one of them. If I didn't get,
Same.
commissions.
I
So-
didn't get to buy enough prints, I think, but I also don't have a lot of space. Like there was like a 4-pack of prints from Hugh Rookwood where it's like the turtles doing various like they're doing like martial arts katas with their weapons.
Mm.
And that's like one of my favorite things that Hugh does. But like his Michelangelo was copying all the movements from Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon with the nunchucks. I'm like, that is sick.
That's dope.
So it's really cool. And I bought one from it was a collaboration between RZP and Stephen King because
Yep, got
I
it.
love like that sort of stipple dot style that King does. And RZP always makes stuff so dynamic. It's so good. I've got a yard, was it a no parking sign or something from RZP up
Yeah.
on my wall,
Yeah, I got a couple of things from him. I actually had one book where Metalhead and Raphael are fighting.
Oh,
But
neat.
if you have like a glow, like the black light, and it says FAI.
Oh,
That's
nice
awesome.
for AI art. Nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
he's a
has
cool
that.
dude.
He's super good. He actually ended up getting a blanket off of me too. I should have got that Dark Leo.
Yeah, it was. I regret it too. But Denner got it.
Yeah,
So
I know.
at least we know
I'm
we're
probably
on
going to
one.
have him do a Dark Raphael though at some point down the road. So
I've got the reference card from my Kickstarter thing, so I've got all those. But yeah, no, that was great. I didn't even get to see like some of these guys that I really wanted to spend some time with, but I mean, it was great. Like meeting Luis Antonio Delgado, meeting
oh
the
God,
Esforza brothers, who are very quiet, as you can
Yeah.
imagine. So, getting to talk to Sarah Meyer, I finally got to get. I wanted this really great like Donatello print that she had, where it's all the different Donatellos on one. And I got that for my son because he's like such a big Donnie guy. So
I
we
missed
got
that
that.
one.
Yeah, it's well, she'll probably be back at C2E2, so that's good. Maybe I don't know because she's doing that cruise now. But I mean, I didn't get some of the other stuff from the other guys, but it's like, did you even know Jared Cullum was there? So Jared Cullum, who does like these fantastic watercolors and all that, and you see him on Instagram, you're like, oh wow, Usagi Yojimbo, and like look at this like landscape, and it's all beautiful. It's like wow, and the guy who did the Goosebumps covers was there.
Oh yeah,
Like this was a
he's
legit con, you know.
yeah,
Rick Leonardi was there, you know. So if you
yeah, it
liked
was
if you
fun.
like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, this is the guy that did Spider-Man 2099.
Hmm.
yep.
So it was neat. But like between that, I mean, our buddies Camilo was there, John
Mm-hmm.
Somariva, Freddie Williams,
Yep.
Chris Vance, and I got this awesome, really cool. It's a character that Jim Lawson created called Dragonfly. Dragonfly and John is kind of like a giant turtleoid sort of thing. And Vance did this really great black and white print for me. It was awesome. It was really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, but it's exciting stuff. So, but to kind of bring this home, we did go and support our friends at the sketch off. I was talking about this a little earlier. So it was interesting because they had it, and a lot of the people who had already been on the show or that we knew were there. So you had Chris Vance, RZP, JP Fosgett, who I knew, but he hasn't been on the show yet. So he's more of like a cartoonist. He does like Muppets and Fraggles and stuff. Hugh Rookwood, and I'm missing one other, aren't I? Or is that everybody?
I can't remember.
RZP, Chris Vance, Jay Fosgett, Camilo, because Camilo was a
Bill
returning
was a
champ.
defending champ.
Camilo
Yeah.
had the belt coming in and all that. So Eric and I and Rob Denner are hanging out in front row. We're laughing because we already knew going into this. We knew that
Mhm.
like they have not seen Hugh Rookwood at all. They don't even know what to expect. And we knew from tags that if you give Hugh like enough paper and pens and all that, he's gonna make a masterpiece. He's gonna keep going. He's super fast. He's super talented, and we're just sitting back and watching what's going on. So they pick and they're like, okay, this is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's Tom and Jerry dressed up like the Guardians of the Galaxy and do it in a
That's awesome.
cartoon style. So it's like, okay, all right, great. So I took pictures of the whole thing, and they had a moderator going up, and he was talking to everybody, and they're talking smack back and forth, and Camilo is throwing it out there like he's clearly the heel of the group, and he's like, oh yeah, this, and in his Australian accent, he's awesome. It was so much fun. He's throwing
Wow.
so much shade. The surprising one was JP Fosgett, who was coming back with some really sort of snappy zingers and all that, and he was over there and he's quiet. They give him about 20 minutes or so to start it off, and I think it's was it like 40 minutes, 45 minutes total or anything?
I don't know. I can't remember. I actually came in a little late myself, so I
So
was doing
everything's
something.
done based on applause that they have.
Yep.
So the first they show everybody's and they'll bring it by, and then they do a judge of applause and all that. Well, Vance and RZP, they did a really good job. They did a little Star Lord, or they did like a Groot or something like that, a Rocket. These things look awesome, but it was just they did a small character on a blank comic page. It's like, okay. JP did Tom and Jerry, and it was that scene from the end of Guardians of the Galaxy where Tom was dressed up like Drax, and he's looking over at Jerry, who's little Groot dancing. It's like, oh, this is really cool. He did the full page. It's inked. It looks fantastic. Camilo does like a rocket or something like that. It's big and it's on the page and all that. Hugh does front and back with color, 4 characters, and he added a Groot in there, and it wasn't even like so he's got Tom and Jerry, and then he's got and Groot, full color page and all that. We are laughing our ass off because we knew this was coming. We knew it's like, yeah, they get it. And then the other guys are like, we didn't know we could do color, and I'm like, oh. So the funny thing, and when we were talking to Hugh about this, he was joking because there was a guy who was sitting pretty close to me, and I had already lost my voice, so I couldn't scream or anything else like that, and he was going nuts for JP Fosgate, like woo, and he was like, oh my God, what is this, a ringer and all that. So you get to the final round. The final round is between JP Fosgate and Hugh Rookwood. Camilo bows out. He says, thank you, everybody. I'll give the championship belt back and all that, and it comes down to the two of them. I was the loudest I have ever been in my life. Eric was the same. Rob Denner was the same. All of us were just going crazy to try to beat the hell out of this one guy who was in the front row just cheering for Jay. And again, I love Jay's work and all that. I actually got a commission from Jay. Fantastic guy. I can't say enough great stuff about his stuff. But Hugh is our guy. So and he destroyed it. He gets up, and Hugh's nearly 7 feet tall. Huge guy. And he's screaming like Conan the Barbarian, taking his belt and all that, which he now has it up in Canada. And, he'll be back next year to defend it. It was awesome. And that was what, Saturday?
Yeah, I want to say that was Saturday. Like, I remember talking to Ruth, and me and Ruth were talking, and I'm like, these boys have no idea what's going to happen.
They had no idea.
I mean,
yeah, we were loud, but I mean, like, realistically, the crowd was already well behind him.
Yeah, but that was the whole thing is like the day before, it was like, look, like, these boys don't know, have no idea. Like, me and Justin, we did a tag stream with you,
yeah, we did,
and all this other stuff. And so I don't know if you ever been on tags there, Reese?
No? Things are getting sketchy.
So
they did a coaster night where they would give them coasters to kind of draw on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and most people would be like, yeah, I can get like I don't know, 3 done or something.
They'll get like 2 or 3 done. Hugh would do like 5 or 6 in a night.
Yeah.
And like I actually have one of his.
Well, I could show you because I was showing Eric. I gave him this blank Crisis on Infinite Earths book, and that's what he came back with.
Yo,
he just mailed that to me.
That's insane.
And I mean, it's like I gave him one note. I said, go nuts and see if you can add Ted Cord the Blue Beetle. So he put him on the bottom here. So I got the Monitor, Anti-Monitor, Supergirl, Superman, the Flash, disintegrating. If you in Batman, and Batman's I didn't even see Batman until now. Wow, yeah, amazing! And it's all in color. Yeah. Kirby dots everywhere. It's like
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's like the anti-Mike Mignola. He's like, oh, instead of using black negative space, he's like, yeah, there's just shit everywhere.
Yeah,
it's like it's really cool. Yeah,
awesome.
It was fun. I mean, in terms of that, I mean, I would recommend if you're a Turtles fan, check this show out. There's a whole other part of the show that, I mean, besides all the experiences that we had, we barely left the armory. You could go and hang out in the other part in the vendor, and you can buy Funko Pops, or you can buy art, or you can meet like Nolan North, who we didn't even get to meet.
Yeah, Nolan North was there. John Rhys Davies. Gimli from.
I actually have interviewed him before, so that was
really
interesting.
Yeah, that's like the one regret. I mean, I was there for all the turtle stuff, but I'm also a big Lord of the Rings fan. I've got a Lord of the Rings tattoo. My wife and I honeymooned in New Zealand, and
wonderful.
So I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. And I was like, man, I really should find time to go meet John Rhys Davies, but I didn't do that.
He was a bit expensive at this con, but I can understand why.
And cash only, I heard he was cash only too. So that was another hurdle that you'd have to overcome. But I should have.
And they had a whole bunch of stuff. I think, wasn't it like Johnny Young Bosch was there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. They had a whole other section that
Jamie, Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Pink Ranger.
And that was the thing too. We were hanging out at Jim Lawson's table, and Amy Jo Johnson comes by, the Pink Ranger.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, she's really short. So, and it was funny too because like her security person was smaller than me. I'm like, what? I'm like, it's hilarious. But she came by and she gave Jim and Kathy a big hug because I guess he had done one of the covers for a book that she wrote. So she wrote a Power Ranger story.
Wow.
So, but I mean, it's just like stuff like this everywhere. There's magic at this show.
It really was.
It's just crazy. I really enjoyed it.
It's definitely, the year before that we went, it was definitely an experience, and I'm like, I don't know how this is going to get topped.
Yeah, how are you going to top that?
And like Reese was saying earlier, like you can, like he's been to all these other cons, but this con is it's different. It's absolutely different. It's
for Turtles fans.
For Turtle fans, yeah. For Turtle
specifically,
fans.
It really did feel it was made for us. I mean, like you said, they had other non-Turtles related, guests and stuff like that. But yeah, it was very it's what I wanted from a convention, like as a Turtles fan. I mean, I'm a fan of other things, obviously, but that was unreal. All of that talent and all of those turtle related universes and under one roof, so to speak, was wild. It was crazy.
All that and Mike Spring. Shout out to Mike Spring.
Yeah, Mike.
So he called you out, Eric. That's good.
He did.
Did you buy his book? Because I bought 8-Bit Slasher. I loved it.
I didn't buy his book, but I did get a print from him.
Oh,
I
nice.
did get one of his prints. It was actually a remake of 8. I want to say issue 8 for the Mirage. I can't remember.
Oh, cool.
Like I said, all my stuff's put away right now. I think it's right there, that box right there that I'm pointing at.
I got some stuff from some local artists because I think that's part of it. You got to support. And there was this young guy that I met the year before, and I actually have his card here, which is so funny. I'm going to shout him out because he did this really cool Hellboy for me. And let's see, he says, thanks, spread your word. Quinn Thompson, who was someone who just was this young cartoonist. It was his first year last year when we were there. He set up about 2 tables away from us and all that. And I said to him, like, hey, I didn't buy anything from you last year. And he's like, oh, that's okay. I'm like, no. I should have bought something from you, so I'm buying something, and I'm going to give you a tip. And I'm going to call that an asshole tax because I should have bought from you last year. Because realistically, he could have not come back this year, and I felt really terrible about that. So I bought this really great Hellboy that he did, and I'm like, this is awesome. But I did tell him last year that he should have made Ninja Turtles, and sure enough, he came back this year with just an entire plethora of all kinds of like Last Ronin and like 2012 Turtles and stuff, and I'm like, good, man, you got to play to the room. So, and his stuff was mostly like cryptids and stuff, but then he had like the Ninja Turtles and Hellboy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm awesome. That's so cool. So it was good. But anything else you guys want to call out or shout out, or anybody else that you had a good time with, and anything else that we should talk about?
Man, I don't know. There was so much. I'm sure
Riley from CKC. Riley came by.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something. I did get to hold a first print #1.
What?
That was pretty crazy. I was actually in line to because I had forgotten that I had something for Aaron to sign, and so I went back to his table right next to you guys, and the guy in front of me had a #1 graded. I think it was like a 7.5 or an 8 or something. First print. I was like, "Is that what I think it is?" And he's like, "Yeah, it is." I was like, "Can I take a picture with that?" And that was a surreal moment getting the picture with the first print
so
#1.
neat.
And I mean they did the whole negative of the
Rich.
whole
exhibit. Rich Horn.
Yeah, there was just so much going on there. Like it was for such a small convention. There was so much to see, so much to do.
I can't believe I didn't mention this until now, but Ken Mitroni was there.
Ken
you know?
McRoney,
Yeah.
yep,
And,
yep,
and I
yep.
mean, that's like still today, like I still read Turtles Adventures, and like the first experience I had of the day was talking to him. And then
Yeah.
that turned into like every time I saw him, he said hi and this, and we just kept talking. And then I was like, oh yeah, I drew this while I was on the whatnot stream. I was just messing around. I showed. He was like, oh great, that's my stuff, cool. And I'm like, I geeked out a little.
Yeah.
Just like,
Dooney. We forgot about Dooney.
yeah,
Mike Dooney.
Mike Dooney.
Yep.
I spent
Mike Dooney was there.
I spent a lot of money at that booth because
Yeah.
I am such a Mike Dooney fan, and then I spent more money after I left the con because I saw he was still selling things, and I'm like, I didn't see that Slash and Krang print. I'm
Yeah.
getting that.
Oh,
Yeah, I got one of his original pieces that he had just randomly. I forget what. I think it's like a Donatello or something. But
Yeah, I bought the
I bought a
Leo,
couple
and
of-
I'm not gonna say how much I spent on it. So,
yeah. I know how much you spent on it.
I know you do.
Okay. Well, after the con, that was the whole thing. You know, he posted something because, of course, I'm a game guy, so I got Mike Dooney to sign my first Turtle game with Kevin Eastman on it.
Awesome.
And if I would have realized that he was doing something like a remark that he had there of the first Turtle games, I'm like, oh my God, I wanted one of those. I wanted one of those so bad. And I was just like, and I didn't get one. You know,
I follow
Next year.
his website so closely. Like it's like borderline stalking. It's like how often I look to see when he's got like art up. I think I genuinely think I got his first Ronin work, which is, I don't know if you can see it, but like I bought this,
that
which is like this tiny little sketch card that he did of the Lost Ronin and all that. He reproduced these to like sell them as cards. So, but this was
he also did
2022 or something.
I think I've got these. He also did like they're literally just printed on like printer paper.
the book.
The little books
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are just like.
See, and
Yeah.
mine's in there, I think.
I think you're right. Not on this one. I might
Yeah,
be on
in the other one. And
think I've
this
got-
was like
Oh yeah, right here.
yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's so crazy. And
Mhm.
like I said, I'm such a fan of his stuff, and you know, I'll put it this way, like the first time I met him was in like 2015 or something like that at a con in Connecticut. It was crazy. It was awesome. Got all my nerves out then. This time I saw him in the line waiting to get in on the complete opposite side of the building. And I see him, he's got all of his art stuff and all that. And I walk over and I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Dooney, I don't think you're supposed to be here. He goes, this is the line to get in, right? I'm like, no. Like, you're supposed to be on the other side. I'd be happy to show you where to go and all that because I'm in there too. And then someone behind he goes, oh my God, who's that? Is he someone famous? And I looked at the guy and I go, he's the best damn friggin' Ninja Turtle artist ever or of all time or something like that. And I said that and then we just like walked away and they were like, wow. Like they had no idea or anything else like that. But I'm like, I just said that in front of Mike Dooney. I wasn't even embarrassed.
Did he say anything?
No, he literally just quietly followed me as I brought him to go get his badge.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it was just insane. I'm like, yeah. But I will say this. I did have some energy with me, you know, the whole weekend. I mean, someone tried something and I'm like, yeah, we're press or something like that. It's like, I just walked in. I don't know if that would fly at like San Diego, but it was fun. It was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and thanks for everybody kind of joining us on this. Reese, I want to make sure that we have your Instagram on there. I've got justreese.art.
That's it.
At justreese.art.
Yep.
I bought his book. I think it's great. Stickers are great too. Like the series that you just had of the Universal Monster Turtles.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
That
was a lot of fun.
The Wolfman Leo was my favorite, and I like them all, but I am such a sucker for that one. So I think it's so cool. And
thank you.
I like the style that you do, and I think the one that really stuck out for me is one of the punk frogs that I saw that you did. I thought it was cool as hell.
The punk frogs.
I thought in the book there was a punk frog that I really liked.
Oh no. But I think I didn't do a punk frog, but that was my version of Mondo Gecko.
Oh, it
It
was
was
Mondo.
Mondo.
Okay.
It
Well,
was
of course
Mondo.
I
Yeah,
liked
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
Mondo's
you like
good.
Mondo Gecko.
Yeah, punk frogs. I don't know how I didn't do one of those. I might have to go back and revisit that series and maybe add a punk frog or four. But yeah, it was fun. I've had a blast doing all of that stuff, and I haven't done much lately, but I need to get back into it.
Well, we will need to have you on again when we're talking
Absolutely.
about some more stuff. I look
Absolutely.
forward to seeing you at the next con. I know you're doing a con tomorrow. It's not gonna. We're not gonna get anybody there for this because this won't
Sure.
be going then. But
Sure.
you're still working the circuit. You know.
Yeah, this is actually my first one since the last one you saw me at. So I haven't tabled it at any in a while, just because I've got 2 kids and it's just a busy, crazy time. And
So what you're saying is that you're trying to be a responsible adult.
There's some good guests there though.
Something
Reese,
like
and
that.
I mean, you're a featured guest up there. I saw.
Yeah, well, that's it's not about what I can do. It's about who I know over there.
That's fair.
It's being run by one of my I frequent a comic book shop in Skokie, and one of the guys that works there, he's putting on this little mini convention to.
Is it art?
No, it's not art. Art's going to be there though.
Yeah.
But
I'm I talked to Art on Tuesday, so we're talking about Art Balthazar.
Art Balthazar, yeah. Art's a riot. Yeah, no, one of Bernie, one of the guys that works at Oh Yeah Comics in Skokie, he's putting it on to raise money for the arts booster at Maine West High School. So it's all going to a good cause and everything. And yeah, we're not going to pull anyone in from the show, but I'm still excited for it. It'll be my first table in a while. So
great.
Gotta dust off the cobwebs of all of my prints and everything. So
well, good. I'm glad. I hope it goes well for you. So
yeah. I think it'll be great. I think they've got lots of, like I said, Art Balthazar is going to be there and a whole bunch of other artists. And I'm kind of like, it feels like like you said, kind of feel like I'm a poser a little bit, like all these other artists and everything that actually have published stuff. And
you'll be the only Turtles artist there. So
maybe you could be right.
But if anyone isn't familiar with Art Balthazar, Tiny Titans, which was ran for about 50 issues in DC, it was huge. And then
he's the creator of Bat. He's the creator of Bat Cow. I don't know if you guys knew that. Bat Cow.
Did not know that. I thought that came from the Lego game.
No, it was Art Balthazar first, and then
Franco, right?
And then Franco, and then Frank Miller did a Bat Cow in one of his comics. So afterwards, so yeah, that is wild.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a blast. Be sure to check out, make sure that you go take a look at the Granite State Comic-Con's site. You can see, like, I show up a bunch of times. Eric shows up a bunch of times, and it's just such a blast. I highly recommend going. Check out their website to see when they're there. Make sure you get the hotel early, and we'll catch you next time at Granite State, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Right. And stay tuned. I'm going to have our pizza recipe next, and we'll be right back.
It's pizza time.
And now, in a segment that we call Pizza Time, where we discuss any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or pizza-related food, I give you Pizza Time. And now, for your pizza of the day, roasted butternut squash pizza with Gruyere and rosemary. Makes one 12-inch pizza. 1 ball Neapolitan pizza dough. All-purpose flour for dusting, 2 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil, 1 garlic clove peeled, 1 small sprig of fresh rosemary, 1/4 teaspoon crushed red pepper flakes, semolina flour, rice flour, or all-purpose flour for the pizza peel, 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche at room temperature, 1 cup roasted butternut squash, 3 ounces Gruyere cheese grated, flaky sea salt. Prepare the dough by transferring the dough from its storage container to a roomier, light floured covered container. Allow to prove at room temperature for 1.5 hours. Place the olive oil in a small skillet. Finely mince the garlic or use a microplane to grate the garlic directly onto the olive oil.
add the rosemary and the pepper flakes. Set the skillet over medium heat. As soon as the garlic, pepper flakes, and rosemary begin to sizzle, remove from the pan from heat. Prepare the oven and the pizza peel. About 1 hour before you want to bake the pizza, place the baking pizza peel on the top third oven rack and place it at 550 degrees Fahrenheit convection roast, or as high as it will go. Dust the pizza peel lightly with semolina flour on top of parchment paper. Stretch the dough. Lightly dust a work surface using flour. Lightly flour your hands. Place the dough gently to flatten it. Stretch it from a 10 to 11 inch round, laying it on the back of your hands and gently rotating it, taking care not to depress the beautiful air pockets in the dough. The dough begins resting. Set it down on the work surface to rest for 5 to 10 minutes. Then, continue stretching. Transfer the stretched dough to the prepared peel and shake to ensure it's not sticking. Top the pizza. Spread the creme fraiche evenly over the dough, leaving a 1/2 inch border. Arrange the roasted squash slices over the top single layer. Brush half the rosemary, garlic, oil over the squash slices. Scatter the Gruyere evenly over the top. Season with a flaky sea salt. Stretch the dough one last time by pulling outward on the edges. Redistribute the toppings as needed. Then, give the peel one last shake to ensure the dough is not sticking. Bake the pizza. Shimmy the pizza into the oven on the steel pizza peel until the cheese is melted and the edges begin to char, about 5 to 6 minutes. It may take 8 to 10 minutes depending on your oven. Using the pizza peel, transfer it to the cutting board. Discard the parchment paper. Transfer the remaining rosemary garlic oil to a small bowl and serve on the side. Cut and serve. And that's your pizza for today. Roasted butternut squash pizza with Gruyere and rosemary.
Cowabunga, dudes! Thank you for listening to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. This podcast has no affiliation with Eastman, Laird, Mirage Studios, IDW Studios, Archie Comics, or Nickelodeon Studios. This podcast is a member of the Dorkening Podcast Network. Check out thedorkening.com for other podcasts. Epic Tales from the Sewers is recorded by Justin Cooper and Eric Will.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Greetings and shabibans! We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh. And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorkening Podcast Network, with new episodes every technical Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
It took me 10 years to make the perfect man cave.
And then we took it over. And we made it into the multiversal chamber.
Then I started my own podcast.
And we took that over too. And we're the co-hosts, the Multiverse Kids.
Yeah, and I'm the dad, the geeky dad. And every week, we what?
We review the movies, shows, and books, games, and toys.
Yeah, and sometimes we even have a special guest. So, join us every week on the Geeky Dad Podcast.
Hello, intrepid listeners. This is the Generation Playlist Podcast, a podcast about music where we are your guides through a particular group or artist.
We talk about the music, and then we make a customized playlist to share with you, our listeners. And you can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts and find our playlists on Spotify.